Welcome into the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. My name is Fielder Dennis. We are talking National Signing Day with head football coach DeLane Fitzgerald. Coach, thank you for joining us first and foremost.
Fielder, thank you for having me.
Coach, my first question to you is, what were your overall thoughts on this year's recruiting class?
Our coaching staff and our university are extremely pleased with what we've brought in this year. We needed to acquire depth in our first two recruiting classes at NCAA Division II, and this is our second recruiting class. So we have solved the depth problem, Fielder, and we're pretty happy about everything.
Coming off a season 8-3 overall, 7-3 in the Mountain East Conference, third in the MEC overall. What about this class, and you mentioned the second one in Division II, is unique from previous ones at Frostburg State?
Didn't we finish second in the MEC, Fielder?
Well, there's a big tie
weren't we?
7-3.
There's not a big tie when you beat the other team you're tied with by 35 points, Fielder. We finished second in the MEC, but no, I like it. What was your question?
What about this class is unique from previous ones at Frostburg State?
Yeah, the amount of speed and the skill that we brought in, that we were able to bring in, pretty special. We're going to end up with two handfuls of defensive backs that we really, really like and two handfuls of linebackers that we really, really like. We're bringing in a couple young men at the wide receiver position that we're impressed with. This class is faster and has more skill than the past classes here.
You mentioned depth. How important is that in the Division II game and against teams in the Mountain East Conference to have that kind of depth?
Yeah, sure. At some point, I need to stop talking about Division III because we're not Division III anymore. But when we were NCAA Division III, and especially that 2018 season where we went undefeated during the regular season, we had two byes during the season. And where the depth plays a part in Division II is if you're playing 11 games, you play 11 straight weeks. We have 11 opportunities to get 11 games in. There's no bye week. There's no break. At the end of the season, depth becomes a huge factor. We found that out last fall.
Majority of the recruits are from the state of Maryland, with an occasional Virginia player. I know you like to get the players from the state of Virginia, you being from Virginia yourself. How much of a luxury is it to have pipeline states with such good football players right here with Virginia and Maryland?
Yeah, with the DMV is playing the best football in the country that doesn't have spring ball. Per capita, the best football in the country. We specialize. We're a Maryland state school, and we're the PE school of the state of Maryland, and we have one of the best engineering departments in the country. But we have one of the best engineering departments in the state of Maryland. We're going to specialize in Maryland young men, and we're always going to be that way. We went down into Virginia and got a handful of young men that we're really, really pleased by, impressed by. We got 3 or 4 young men from Delaware and New Jersey that we really liked, and then we had a need, and we found that need in Ohio, and we're excited about that also. Out West Virginia, we're always going to, and maybe we signed a couple of players from West Virginia, and maybe the best player in this signing class is from West Virginia.
Right down the road. I know Matt Ambrose and I on the Bobcat Sports Network went on the road and called all the football games, and we saw so many good players in this conference from the state of Maryland. And you mentioned being the only state Maryland school in the conference. That's got to be such an advantage in terms of getting good players and really quality athletes.
The beauty of being in the Mountain East for us is yes, all the schools in the Mountain East have to have Maryland players to be successful, except for maybe UNC Pembroke, and they're located southeast of Charlotte. Mm-hmm. But with all the other schools, all the recruits out of the DMV area have to drive right by our campus to get to the campus that they're looking at, so we can get them to stop by here on their way coming or going. It's a lot of fun that way.
Speaking of last season's team, how much did the growth of these young players from this past season impact the recruiting? Because so many young first years, sophomores, not too many seniors, got a lot of playing time and a lot of reps on a team that went 8-3 overall.
Yeah, we return almost our entire team, and we return a lot of important parts, something we're really excited about. Fielder, our young men in the weight room the last 2 weeks has been something special now. So we had some guys that went home and took their winter workouts with them at home and took Christmas seriously, and we're really excited about that. We have went through as a staff and as a strength and conditioning staff, and Coach Lenhart down there in that weight room is doing a phenomenal job with his staff and with our players. But we went through and picked sleeper of the spring, sleeper of 2020, which is the young man that didn't do a whole lot last year and is going to be really, really good this coming year. Well, 10 coaches and strength and conditioning coaches, we come up with 10 different names.
Did you and your coaching staff have a specific phase of the game you wanted to emphasize in this recruiting class?
Yeah, we needed to we needed to replace 2 good players in the defensive backfield, and we're going to bring in 10 DBs, and we're going to replace them. Our freshmen that we brought in last year, the current freshmen that are on this campus, redshirt freshmen or rising sophomores, that they've got to mature and got to improve some at a faster rate than they have thus far on our campus. But DB was a place that we needed to emphasize. We wanted to bring in players that were going to be difference makers 2, 3, 4 years from now at every single position, and we think we've done that.
We've been in a situation for National Signing Day, and I asked you a question that I'll ask you again here. How does recruiting adjust based on the MEC competition? You mentioned last year a lot of size on the front 7 and the offensive line. Is that something you really emphasize in terms of based on the competition of the Mountain East Conference?
We're bringing in some big guys now. We're bringing in some big guys up front on both sides of the ball. We still have 1 or 2 great players that we're going to sign after today, but we brought in size. Maybe our best one, a 6 tech, a young man. He's 6'5", 265, and he can play 6 technique and 6 eye for us, and then can drop down and play 3 tech for us. And we're really, really excited about him on the defensive side of the ball. And we turn around on offense, and we're going to sign 5 guys today that are really, really good up front. Yeah, the size difference in Division II and Division III, there's a big difference there.
For the returning players of this Frostburg State football program, what are the expectations for them with this new class?
You tell them, so I don't have to tell them. What's the expectation of our football program?
Well, my final question to you today was going to be, are these players going to get 1% better?
There you go.
Which is what you always say. Well, I'll ask you this one, for the expectations for the income.
So we'll stop and go back, and I'll answer. The expectation of the young men that sign with us today and of our entire football program is let's just go get 1% better. Fielder, I'm talking to you, and we've got 110 players on our roster for spring right now. If they all get 1% better today, how much better are we when we go to bed tonight?
It's 110%.
110% better. And then the 40 young men that sign with us today. So if those 40 get 1% better today, we're 150% better when we go to sleep tonight than when we woke up this morning. Hey, it's words to live by. You just have to make sure you keep saying it in a different way and it doesn't become cliche and go in one ear and out the other. But that is the expectation of our football program, to get better each and every day that we're here on this earth. And then we're going to line up each week and just try to beat whoever our opponent is that week. And we're going to work really, really hard Sunday through Friday. And then on Saturdays, each Saturday this fall, just like 21, 22, and 2023, we're going to do our best on Saturday and let the cards fall where they may.
Coach, thanks for joining us here on National Signing Day. It's a great day for young student athletes to be recognized for their accomplishments. Thanks for talking with us here on the Bobcast video format. I know you're excited to get in front of the camera and be able to do this.
I lost sleep over this last night. Not the signees, but lost sleep over having. Hey, when you got my face is made for radio now, and you put me on TV, it's not a good thing. Fielder, thank you for everything. And I'll close in this. We're going to have 40 young men signed today that are going to come here for 4 or 5 years and going to represent this university in the classroom and outside the classroom and on the field and in the community in an adult and gentlemanly manner. We're really, really proud of the parental group and the young men that we're bringing into this university and into our Frostburg football family.
Thanks so much for joining us here on the Bobcast, presented by the Bobcat Sports Network. My name is Fielder Dennis, joined with head coach DeLane Fitzgerald. Happy National Signing Day. Have a great day. Go Bobcats.
Go Bobcats.